When it comes to questions about who is the administrator of DOGE, actually, do you believe that's an important question to have the answer to?
No, the issue is not who is technically the administrator, who has the title. Elon Musk is clearly running the show, the wealthiest person in the world, who has enormous conflicts of interests, who is helping to fund right-wing extremist organizations all over the world, who is looking forward to get massive tax breaks from Congress. He's running the show.
So if he's running the show, but not on paper, as they essentially argue, but you say in practice, he basically is. You're a co-equal branch of government as a senator on Capitol Hill.
I kind of thought so, but I think you have to explain that to the president.
Do you feel that you have oversight when it comes to what Elon Musk is doing?
Look, what we're seeing right now, Caitlin, is a very dangerous moment. I'm laughing here, but it is not funny. This country is moving very rapidly under Trump into an authoritarian form of society. You know, the founding fathers, way back in the 1770s, these were nobody's fools. And what they had fought the King of England, an autocrat, had all the power, and they said, you know what? We don't want that in the new country. We're going to set up 3 separate equal branches of government. And every kid in the 6th grade knows who they are. But Trump does not. And what Trump is doing now is trying every day to usurp the powers of Congress, to challenge the powers of the court. It is a very dangerous moment.
Well, the question, though, when it comes to what this looks like, is we haven't seen a ton of resistance from Capitol Hill, and we have seen some efforts in the courts. These Democratic attorneys general stepped in. But today, a federal judge here, Tanya Chutkan, she's well known to our audience from the Trump trials, she declined to block Musk and his team from getting access because she basically said she wasn't getting specific enough examples from these AGs about how Musk could cause irreparable harm to their state. And if they can't prove that in court, what does that say?
Well, I tell you what I happen to believe. At the end of the day, the struggle against Trump, the struggle against oligarchy, which is led by Elon Musk, the struggle against authoritarianism, the fight to make sure that the working class of this country gets a fair shake, that is not going to be won here in Capitol Hill. It's going to be won by millions of people all over this country standing up and saying, you know what, we fought and died for democracy. We're not going to move toward authoritarianism. We fought to create a country that works for all, not just the billionaire class. That's the struggle, and I'm going to be active in trying to rally the American people to do just that.
Well, and you're embarking on this tour to combat this. It's a national tour. You're starting in Nebraska and Iowa. How do you break through to people, though? There are some people, Trump voters, who are even independent voters, who like what Elon Musk is doing and say, yeah, the federal government does spend too much money and it is too bloated.
And the truth is, the federal government is a bureaucracy. We have to acknowledge that. Federal government perfect? Far from it. Do we need to bring about reforms? Absolutely. But let us be clear what these guys really want to do. Do you think that Elon Musk is staying up night just worrying about excessive spending in the CDC? I don't think so. At the end of the day, what these guys want and what Trump wants is to cut programs that working class people need. They're talking, the House Budget Committee released their report, their budget, $880 billion in cuts to Medicaid. Do you know what that means? It's not only that millions of people, kids, are going to be thrown off the health insurance they have, devastating to nursing homes, 40% of the revenue coming into community health centers. 30 million people get their health care, community health centers. That's coming from Medicaid. You cut Medicaid, you're going to dismember an already broken health care system. What are they going to do with that money? They're going to give it to tax breaks for the richest people in America. Over $1 trillion goes in tax breaks to the top 1%. That is what these guys want. They want more wealth. They want more power. American people are going to have to stop them.
Well, and what you're referencing, this is like the blueprint, essentially, that we got from House Republicans. It's not clear what realistically they're going to be able to pass here, but they're looking to have $4.5 trillion in tax cuts.
Right.
And basically, this plan instructed the Energy and Commerce Committee, which oversees Medicaid, to find those $880 billion in cuts. Realistically, what should voters be worried about if you hear from some moderate Republicans who say, we're not going to touch Medicaid, that's not going to be on the table?
Well, no one is saying that. I mean, right now, what we are trying to do in a House which is almost evenly divided, if 2 Republicans, 2 out of 435 members, say, you know what, we're not going to vote to give tax breaks to billionaires and cut programs that children and the elderly and the hungry desperately need. 2 Republicans, their proposal is dead. And we're going to work hard to make sure not only do we get 2, they'll get a hell of a lot more than 2.
On the Elon Musk front, when it comes to Social Security payments and what is actually wrong with government and what's exaggerated, we're hearing this line from the White House that tens of millions of people are getting Social Security fraudulently. Either they're dead or...
Yeah, I don't believe that for a second.
We've gotten no evidence of it, but I looked into this, and what we do know is that there's a lot of people that still remain in the database, but as far as people who are actually getting payments, it was 44,000 who got payments according to an audit that was done in 2023.
Out of how many millions?
There's tens of millions. So when they say tens of millions, that would be
this is what we are dealing with.
Security.
We're not only dealing with oligarchy, the incredible power of the very, very rich. We're not only dealing with a move toward authoritarianism, we're dealing with what is new to America. You know, politicians have always lied, nothing new about that. But the level that we're seeing right now, the big lie, over and over again, and it goes out, there's a big lie, and then it goes out on Musk's Twitter to, several hundred million people, repeated over and over again. And now the word is out there, oh, people on Social Security, 150 years of age. Can you believe it? The whole thing is corrupt. It's broken. Well, where does that lead you, Caitlin? What's the next step? If government can't do anything, if Social Security doesn't work, if Medicare doesn't work, if Medicaid doesn't work, we're going to get rid of all of those programs, and we're going to give it over to the billionaire class to run it.
That's what you think they're ultimately trying to do.
Yeah, at the end of the day, not only do they,
Social Security.
they want massive cuts to programs for the working class in this country in order to give tax breaks to the very rich, and then they want to move to the privatization of every important government agency. Just the other day, and this really upset me, because I used to be chairman of the Veterans Committee, and I feel very strongly about making sure that those men and women who put their lives on the line to defend this country get a fair shake. Right away, 1,000 employees at the VA laid off at a time when the VA healthcare system certainly needs more help than they have right now. So at the end of the day, they're going to want to privatize Veterans Administration, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and the post office, by the way.
If President Trump were seated next to you, he might say, well, I pledged on the campaign trail that I'm not going to touch Social Security.
Yeah.
What would you say to voters who bring
I
that
think
up?
the president has many attributes, but credibility and honesty are not one of them. So I would have my doubts. I'm not saying they're going to go after Social Security tomorrow. They're not. But this is the groundwork. I mean, this is what you do. You destroy the credibility of programs that are complicated, programs that have tens of millions of people. This is the welfare queen again. Look at this person. They got this, they got that. Kill the whole program.
Well, the interesting part about that is actually before Trump took office, the Treasury Department clawed back and recovered $31 million in payments from Social Security that shouldn't have gone out that went out. That was something that they were doing over a 5-month period to deceased individuals. But the point is, I think, that what the DOGE team says they're doing was already happening. They were going back and getting the money that was being...
And all that I would ask the American people to understand is that when you have programs dealing with tens of millions of people, is anyone going to say, hey, there is no fraud, everything is running efficiently? Of course not. There are going to be problems. Every bloody program out there, there are going to be problems. But you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
So what's the solution?
The solution is...
When they are concerned about fraud and bloat...
The solution is that, of course, we try to get rid of fraud and waste and abuse. And maybe they want to take some of their attention onto the corporate world, the kind of price fixing that goes on there as well. But we want to get rid of fraud and waste. But at the same time, we want to make sure that programs that people desperately need, like Social Security, remain strong. And you know what? You go out and ask the American people whether they want to cut Social Security. They don't want to cut it. They want to expand it. They want to expand Medicare to cover dental, hearing, and vision. They want to expand Medicaid. In fact, as you well know, we're the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people. Health care should be a right. Most Americans agree with that.
You're an independent, but you caucus with the Democrats.
Right.
We have heard from a lot of Democrats privately, some publicly, who say they don't essentially know how to respond to Trump on Capitol Hill. Are there things that you could be doing to respond to them claiming Social Security is
Yeah, of course, we got to,
fraud?
I think there's an effort to bring forth a war room. There's a ton of lies and misinformation going out there to respond to that. But the truth of the matter is,
a war room, is that enough? I mean, Trump was elected 3 months ago.
yeah, well, one of the
office for
things,
nearly a
what's
month.
not enough is that Elon Musk could say the most outrageous thing tomorrow. It goes out to hundreds of millions of people. Democrats do not have that capability, which takes us to a couple of other issues. It takes us to the fact that should a guy who put, what was it, $270 million into Trump's campaign now become the most important person in the government? Is that really how democracy is supposed to work? Which takes you to a corrupt campaign finance system and the need to overturn citizens'